This happened a few months ago. I'm Jake, 34. I've been a travel blogger for years. After a tough breakup, I wanted to rekindle my spark. That's how I ended up in Maple Hollow, a small town surrounded by cornfields. I was drawn in by the charm, the antique shops, a diner with flickering lights, and friendly locals over coffee. It felt like a slice of Americana, something I wanted to capture. I checked into a small motel. It was old-fashioned, like it belonged in a different time. At night, I sat on the bed, going through my photos. Everything felt normal, until I heard a rhythmic tapping from the wall behind me. At first, I thought it was plumbing or maybe the wind. It didn't bother me much. But when it continued, I found myself listening closely. I remember it was around 10. The next day, I explored the town. I met some people in the diner. They had stories about a family that vanished decades ago. No trace was left behind. I felt strange hearing it, a little nagging thought told me the town had secrets. But I brushed it off. Just a story, I thought. That night, things got weirder. The tapping got louder. Now there were faint, mournful cries mixed in. I thought maybe I could fix it. I got up and walked to the wall. My heart raced. I knocked back, hoping someone would respond. There was silence. But then I saw shadows moving past my window. I rushed to the curtain, expecting to see someone, but the street was empty. I felt cold. A chill ran down my spine. Was it just my imagination? I spent the night staring at the ceiling. I thought about leaving, but curiosity gnawed at me. I wanted to understand what was happening. By morning, I felt drained. The experiences played out like a movie in my head. What had I gone through? I packed my things and checked out, but I couldn't shake the feeling that Maple Hollow was still watching me. As I drove away, I kept glancing in my rearview mirror. I wondered about the tapping, the cries, and the shadows. Had they been real? Were they all in my head? The questions lingered, echoing in my thoughts, and then something hit me. What if I wasn't alone that night? As I drove further, I recalled another moment. When I was in the diner, an old man had looked at me strangely. He asked, "You feel it too, don't you?" At the time, I didn't know what he meant. Now, it felt different. I wished I had asked him more. And finally, just one more detail haunted me. As I packed my things to leave, I found a small photo in the drawer. It showed a family that looked like they were from decades ago. They had smiles that didn't reach their eyes. I tossed it aside, but it stuck with me until I pulled onto the highway. Even now, I think about that night more than I care to admit. What was I really part of? The events still puzzle me, leaving an unsettling feeling I can't shake. I wonder if Maple Hollow will ever let me go. As the miles rolled by, I tried to shake the feeling of unease. I pushed the radio dial to drown out my thoughts. It played an old country song, the kind you'd hear in a diner. I laughed at the absurdity, how very fitting. But my laughter faded as I recalled the old man's words. You feel it too, don't you? I missed my chance to ask him what he meant. Why was he looking at me like that? It gnawed at me like a persistent itch I couldn't scratch. My drive took a detour when I saw a sign for a small park nearby. I thought a quick stretch might help clear my mind. I pulled over and parked beside a weathered picnic table. The trees rustled in the wind, and the air felt alive, almost electric. I wandered down a dirt path that led to a small pond. The water shimmered with reflections of the trees and sky. A serene moment. But then, a movement caught my eye. Across the pond, I noticed a figure standing still. It was a woman, dressed in clothing that seemed out of place. Her hair billowed gently, almost as if the wind was trying to guide her. I squinted, feeling a sense of déjà vu washing over me. Where had I seen her before? Suddenly, the mood shifted. My heart raced. An overwhelming feeling of dread washed over me, and I took a step back. The woman turned and locked eyes with me. Her gaze was haunting. There was a familiarity, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I blinked, and she was gone. Just like that. I scanned the area, but she had vanished. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead. I backed away from the water, my mind racing. I needed to leave. This detour had turned into something unsettling. As I reached my car, I fished out my phone, hoping to distract myself with some photos. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the images from Maple Hollow. That's when I saw it. In the corner of one photo, there was the same woman, peering around the corner of an antique shop. I hadn't noticed her before, but there she was. My heart dropped. Why hadn't I noticed her? And what was she doing in Maple Hollow? I slammed the car door and started it up, my mind racing with questions. I needed answers, but I felt that Maple Hollow was already dragging me back. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel. As I drove back toward the highway, I spotted a figure at the side of the road. It was the old man from the diner. He stood watching me, the same strange look on his face. I couldn't help but feel that he knew something I didn't. I pulled over, my heart pounding. I had to know what was going on. But as I approached him, the air thickened, and the world around us blurred. "Jake," he said, his voice unsteady but urgent. "You shouldn't have come back. Things are not what they seem." And just like that, everything went dark. My first instinct was to panic. The darkness enveloped me. I couldn't see, couldn't move. It felt like I was caught in a dream where nothing made sense. I tried to call out, but my voice was swallowed by the void. Then, gradually, the darkness began to recede. Shapes materialized around me, blurred trees, the old man still standing near the road. I took a deep breath, my heart racing. What just happened? I asked, words tumbling out in a rush. He looked shaken, his wrinkled hands trembling. "You're not safe here, Jake. They are watching." "Who? What are you talking about?" The air felt colder now. He glanced over his shoulder, as if he expected someone to jump out of the shadows. "You've seen her, haven't you?" Seen who?" His eyes grew wider. "The woman. She's south connected to this place, to you. You need to leave, before it's too late." I felt a chill crawl up my spine. If I leave now, what will happen? The past has a way of weaving itself into the present. You don't want to find out what happens next. My mind screamed that I should just walk away, get in my car, and drive far from here. But a part of me, the one that had driven me back to Maple Hollow, craved the truth. "What do you know?" He hesitated. "Years ago, there were stories, whispers about disappearances, strange occurrences. They all revolve around her. Who is she?" But before he could answer, a loud crash erupted from the trees. My heart raced again. What was that? "Someone's here," he warned, his eyes darting. I turned, scanning the shadows. Then I saw movement just beyond the tree line. "Go!" The old man shouted, urgency shaking his voice. That I stumbled back toward my car, adrenaline pushing me forward. My hands shook as I fumbled for the door. I had to get away. But just as I started the engine, I caught sight of something out of the corner of my eye. The woman. She stood at the edge of the forest, watching me. Her expression was unreadable. I froze. What does she want? I slammed my eyes shut, taking a deep breath. When I opened them again, she was gone. "Drive," the old man urged. His face twisted in fear. I hit the gas and pulled onto the highway, tires screeching. I glanced in the rearview mirror, half expecting her to be right behind me. But the road was empty. The old man's cryptic warning played in my mind as I drove. Things are not what they seem. As I sped away, my phone buzzed in my pocket. A message. My hands fumbled to grab it. I stared at the screen. It was a single picture, the woman again, smiling eerily, and a caption beneath, "Come find me." I felt the chill return, settling deep in my bones. I knew whatever this was, it was far from over. I drove for what felt like hours, my mind racing along with the engine. I couldn't shake the image of her face from my mind. Every glance at my phone made the unease bubble back up. Who was she? Why did she seem so familiar? I pulled into a rest stop, needing a break. My hands were still shaking as I grabbed my bag and stepped out of the car. The sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows that stretched across the pavement. I felt exposed. I wandered into the small convenience store, hoping a bottle of water would help ground me. The bright lights inside stung my eyes, but at least I wasn't surrounded by trees. I waited in line, my heart still racing from the events of earlier. As I reached the counter, I noticed the elderly cashier staring at me. "You look like you've seen a ghost." I forced a chuckle. "You could say that." But she wasn't amused. "No, really. There's something off about you." I shifted, uncomfortable under her gaze. "Just a long day." She nodded slowly, eyes narrowed. "You're not the first to say that today. Be careful out there. Seems like trouble's lurking." Her words gave me pause. I nodded and paid, grabbing my bottle and heading back outside. The sun was just disappearing beyond the horizon, and with it, the light that I leaned against my car, water in hand, when I saw something out of the corner of my eye. A flicker of movement near the trees. I squinted, heart pounding. But it was just a stray dog, darting around before stopping and staring at me. "Yeah, I know. Weird, right?" I muttered, trying to shake off the unease. Just then, my phone buzzed again. Another message. I swallowed hard and opened it. This time, it was a short video. It took a moment to load, and as it did, dread flooded through me. The video played. The familiar woman stood in the same forest, smiling again. But this time, she turned her head slightly, and I could see the outline of the old man behind her. He looked frail, his hands clutching something tightly. Then the screen went dark. "What the hell?" I gasped at him, my fingers buzzed with anxiety as I shot a glance back toward the woods. The shadows felt deeper now, the trees almost pulsing. I needed to know more, but an instinct told me to run. That I climbed into my car, nearly slamming the door shut behind me. The engine roared to life, but I hesitated just long enough to glance in the rearview mirror. The dog was gone, and so was the old man. The weight of the silence wrapped around me like a shroud. Then, without warning, a loud thump on the roof jolted me. I screamed and ducked, heart racing as I checked the mirror again. Nothing. Panic flooded through me. Whoever was playing this twisted game wanted me to keep going. I could feel it, just a heartbeat away. I needed to get off the road, find somewhere safe, but even that felt like a risk. I gripped the wheel tighter, mind racing with where to go next. Then the reality of the messages hit me hard. Whoever she was still out there, and whatever connection I had was just beginning to unravel. I needed answers and I was running out of time. I drove as fast as I could, the headlights slicing through the encroaching darkness. My mind raced with unanswered questions. The old man and the woman from the video lingered in my thoughts. Who were they? And why did they seem to want me? Suddenly, my phone buzzed again. I nearly dropped it on the dashboard, heart hammering. This time, it was a location pin. It pointed to somewhere deep in the woods. My gut twisted. Was I being led somewhere? But as much as I hated the idea, I had to know. I followed the pin, and to my surprise, the road grew narrower, flanked by thick trees. The darkness felt heavier here. I had to suppress the chill creeping up my spine. Minutes later, I pulled to a stop at a clearing near what looked like a small cabin, half hidden among the trees. The faint glow of a lantern flickered outside, casting shadows that danced ominously. Nervously, I scanned the area, but the night was silent, save for the rustling leaves. I stepped out of the car, my breath visible in the cooling air. The smell of pine and something metallic hit me, but I couldn't pinpoint the source. I took a hesitant step toward the cabin's entrance when I spotted movement inside. A figure appeared behind the window, and my heart lodged in my throat. It was the woman from the video, her smile now replaced with an unsettling gaze. She beckoned as if urging me to come inside. "No way," I murmured to myself. I stepped back instinctively. This can't be good. Before I could think it through, my phone buzzed again, showing a new video capturing the cabin's interior. I barely managed to watch it from the safety of my car. It began shaking before the angle shifted. I squinted, catching glimpses of old photographs lining the walls. Then I froze. In one of the photos, the woman was smiling, but beside her stood the old man. They weren't strangers, they were part of my childhood. I've seen them before, but not like this. There was something about the man's expression that triggered a memory, a recollection of whispered conversations and games played in old backyards. I stumbled backward, breath hitching. This couldn't be real. I closed my eyes, trying to process this newfound link. What did it all mean? Just then, a loud crash came from inside the cabin. It echoed through the woods like a thunderclap. I jumped, adrenaline shooting through me. My instincts screamed to leave, to drive away and never look back. But curiosity held me. I needed to know why my past was surfacing. It was like I stood at the threshold of a door I never wanted to open. I had to choose run or confront whatever truth lay hidden. Then I heard footsteps approaching the door. Someone was coming out. Panic surged through me. I had to act fast that I backed away slowly, keeping my eyes on the cabin. That's when the door swung open, and the woman stepped out, eyes locked on me, expression unreadable. "I've been waiting for you," she said, her voice echoing in the stillness. Now there was no turning back. I stared at her, my mind racing. Waiting for me? Why? My voice sounded small, almost lost in the silence that surrounded us. She took a step closer, the lantern's light casting eerie shadows across her face. "You need to understand why you're here. Come inside." The request hung in the air, thick and suffocating. I wanted to refuse, to run back to my car and speed away from this nightmare, but somewhere deep within, a voice urged me to stay. I had come this far, I owed it to myself to at least hear her out. With a shaky breath, I took a tentative step forward. "What is going on? You and that man. I know you." Her face lit up with recognition. "Yes, we were part of your past. Your parents spoke of us often." What was she talking about? Memories flooded back, old summer evenings, laughter, and warmth. But the happiness was overshadowed by unease. "You were friends of my parents? Why did I forget you?" She shook her head slowly. "It's complicated. Please, come in. There's much we need to discuss." The loud crash from earlier echoed in my mind. "No. First, tell me what that noise was." For a moment, her expression wavered. "It's nothing. Just old wood." Something wasn't right. I looked back at the cabin, then to the trees shrouded in darkness. I could bolt at any second. But I also needed answers. "Fine. But I'm staying right by the door." She nodded, a strange mix of relief and something else flickering in her eyes. I stepped inside, squinting to adjust to the dim light. The cabin felt larger than it appeared outside, cluttered with mismatched furniture and piles of old books. As I scanned the room, something caught my eye. A newspaper clipping was pinned to the wall. I approached it, heart racing as I read the headline, Mysterious Disappearance of Local Family, 1994. The photo showed a family resembling mine but with unfamiliar faces. "Who are they?" I asked, turning to the woman. "They are your family," she said softly. "What you don't remember is that they vanished one night, just like you in the video." Suddenly, it felt harder to breathe. I was disappeared? But I don't remember anything. Exactly. "We tried to protect you," she whispered, her eyes filled with an emotion I couldn't decipher. Fear, perhaps? "You have to know the truth before it's too late." Just then, a noise interrupted us. The door swung shut behind me with a loud bang. I whipped around, my heart racing. And then I saw it. The old man from the video was standing there, blocking the exit, expression grim. "Let us not keep you in the dark any longer," he said, his voice carrying a chill. Everything inside me screamed to flee, but my feet felt glued to the floor. I could sense that the real horror was just beginning. The old man stepped deeper into the cabin, his shadow looming larger with each passing second. I clutched the doorframe, my pulse echoing in my ears. "What do you mean by that?" I managed to ask, the words barely above a whisper. His expression darkened. "Your family didn't vanish for no reason. There's a reason we've been keeping an eye on you." The woman beside me shifted nervously, her hands trembling. "You have to understand, it wasn't safe for you to remember." "Not yet." "Not safe?" I questioned, trying to quell the rising dread. "From what? Who are you really? Who is he?" Before they could answer, I noticed something glinting on the table beside the old man. A knife. It lay there, ominously reflecting the dim light. My stomach twisted into knots. My instincts screamed at me to bolt, but I couldn't abandon the need for answers. "Your past is more dangerous than you realize," the old man said, his voice low and steady. "There are things lurking in the dark that want you back. We thought they wouldn't find you here." "What are you talking about?" I felt anger creeping in, mingled with fear. "You're the ones who brought me here. If I'm in danger, why not just tell me everything?" The woman took a step towards me, her eyes wide. "You don't understand. It's your blood, your family's blood, that attracted them. They've been searching for you since the night they took your parents." The mention of my parents sent chills through me. "So they're gone because of this? Because of what I am?" "Yes," the old man replied, his voice taking on an edge of urgency. "You have to trust us, but time is short." I searched his face, trying to find a glimmer of honesty. "What do I need to do?" He didn't have a chance to respond. A loud thud reverberated from outside the cabin, followed by a sound like scraping metal. I froze, my body tensing as adrenaline surged through me. "This isn't safe," he said quickly. "We need to move. Now." Before I could react, the woman grabbed my arm. "Follow us. There's a way out. We have to go before they come inside." As we ran toward the back of the cabin, I kept glancing over my shoulder. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was just beyond the wood walls, watching, waiting. But it wasn't until we reached a narrow passage that everything changed. A flicker of movement caught my eye. "What's that?" I pointed, but it was too late. In an instant, the lights flickered ominously before plunging us into darkness. My heart raced, and I felt a presence looming in the shadows. "Stay close," the old man shouted, his voice piercing through the void. I felt the woman's grip tighten as panic filled the air. Then everything went silent. The world faded away, and in that moment, I understood that whatever was coming wasn't going to let me escape easily. I stumbled in the dark, the old man's urgent voice guiding me. "This way," he shouted, but I could barely see anything. My heart thudded in my chest. I had never felt so lost, even in familiar surroundings. The woman was still beside me, her grip firm on my arm. I could feel her breath quicken, matching my own panic. "What if they find us?" I whispered, my voice trembling. "They can't." "Not yet," she replied, though I could hear the uncertainty in her tone. That we turned a corner, and suddenly, my foot caught on something. I stumbled, nearly collapsing. The old man helped steady me, and I felt something sharp press into my side. A piece of broken wood? A new wave of fear surged through me. What is happening? What are we running from? Before either of them could answer, a low growl echoed through the passage. It sent chills down my spine. What was that? I gasped, the reality hitting me. We weren't alone. Just keep moving. Don't look back. The old man urged, but I couldn't help it. My eyes darted back, straining to see into the darkness. A fleeting shadow flitted past the wall, and I caught a glimpse of something unnatural, too tall, too twisted. I felt sick, a cold sweat breaking out across my skin. That I tore my gaze away and pushed forward, the narrow corridor getting tighter. My breath came in short bursts, and it felt as if the very walls were closing in on me. How much farther? I gasped. "There's a door up ahead," the old man said, his voice steady, but I could hear the tension. "Once we get outside, we might have a chance." Just then, the growl transformed into a series of harsh, animalistic sounds that vibrated through the wood around us. My stomach lurched. I wanted to scream, but I managed to choke it down. I could only focus on moving. Rounding another corner, I finally saw the door. It loomed ahead, scratched and weathered. The old man pushed it open, and a rush of cool night air hit me like a slap. "Go!" he shouted, shoving me through. That I burst into the open air, but my relief was short-lived. The night sky felt brittle, and the stars twinkled down at me like distant eyes. Just outside the door was a clearing, the shadows weaving between the trees. I didn't know where we were or where to run, but there was no time to think. I turned to see the old man and the woman behind me. "Hurry!" I yelled, feeling the urgency claw at my insides. They slipped out just as another sound filled the air, a low booming noise that shook the ground. Suddenly, the trees began to sway violently as if something massive was pushing through them. My mind churned, fear gripped my heart again. "Run!" I shouted as I darted toward the thick foliage, but before I could take more than a few steps, a rush of wind swept past me, cold and menacing. That's when I saw its eyes glowing in the dark, fixating on me with predatory intent. I froze, my breath hitching in my throat. The nursery tales I had been told as a child replayed in my mind. Monsters didn't exist. But this? This was something else entirely. We weren't safe yet. Not even close. I didn't realize I had stopped moving until the old man's hand clamped around my wrist. "Keep going," he urged, pulling me forward, his grip painfully tight. I stumbled after him and the woman, my mind racing. What was that thing? How could it be real? The clearing opened up into a dense thicket, brambles clawing at my clothes as we forged ahead. I could hear the heavy crunch of footsteps behind us, echoing through the trees. We were being hunted. "Where do we go?" I shouted, glancing back over my shoulder. The glow of those eyes was gone, but I could still feel their weight pressing down on me. The forest was alive, branches whispering secrets with the wind. "Stay close," the woman called, her voice breaking slightly. I could see her profile, the tension visible in her silhouette. I didn't know how much longer we could keep running. The old man was leading us deeper into the woods. My lungs burned, but I dared not slow down. "Please, just tell me what we're running from," I gasped, feeling more desperate by the second. Suddenly, a loud crash rang out behind us. A tree thudded to the ground, and I felt the earth tremble. My heart raced wildly as panic surged. What was that? "Just keep moving." The old man shouted again, but his voice wavered, filled with fear. I glanced to the side and saw an old, twisted tree with a gnarled trunk. "We can hide there," I yelled, pointing. It felt like our only option. They followed me to the base of the tree, and I pressed myself against its rough bark, my breath coming in desperate gulps. We waited, the sounds of the forest growing quiet, as if the world was holding its breath with us. Then, I heard the soft rustle of leaves, a slow, deliberate movement. My heart seized with anxiety. Whatever was out there was close. I suppressed the urge to peek around the trunk, afraid of what I might see. Then, unexpectedly, the tree began to creak and shift, the roots rippling beneath the surface. "What's happening?" I whispered, fear knitting my brows. The old man's eyes widened. "No, not now," he muttered, his voice shaky. Before I could ask him what he meant, a figure emerged from the shadows, gliding towards us with unnatural grace. It was tall, impossibly tall, and its features were obscured in the dim light. But those eyes, they glowed fiercely, piercing through the darkness that I could feel my blood run cold. "We need to run again," I hissed, panic flooding my words, but the old man was frozen, watching the figure with a mixture of fear and resignation. "It's too late," he murmured. "Can't you fight it?" I pleaded, but even as I said the words, I felt a deep, sinking fear in my stomach. It was as if he had given up altogether. Then, everything shifted. The tree itself seemed to respond, branches bending closer as if trying to shield us. I could feel something pulling at my mind, a tendril of dark energy wrapping around my thoughts. And then, like a punch in the gut, I realized whatever the old man was feeling, I was, too. This wasn't just a monster. It was something deeper, something rooted in our fears. That's when I saw the shadowy figure reach out. And in that moment, I knew we were caught in something far more terrifying than I could have imagined. In that moment of stillness, I felt everything coalesce: the fear, the burden of the past, and the darkness closing in around us. I was terrified yet paralyzed, caught between a deep-seated instinct to flee and an unexplainable urge to confront whatever it was that stood before us. The figure loomed closer, each step echoing like distant thunder. "Jake!" The old man's voice broke through the suffocating dread. "We must stand together. Remember, they thrive on fear." With that, he raised his hands as if to ward off the advancing shadows, and I felt a flicker of strength surge within me. The woman, ever at my side, stepped forward, her expression resolute. "We can't let it draw us in. We need to reclaim what it has stolen." I didn't know how, but her words ignited a flicker of defiance within me. I too stepped forward, and together we formed a barrier against the darkness. The wind howled, and the trees creaked under the pressure of an unseen weight. "Together, now," the old man commanded, his voice strong and sure. In a movement both instinctual and deliberate, we joined hands, forming a circle. I could feel the pulsing energy of our connection wrapping around us, a shield against the encroaching void. The figure paused, and I could see its features becoming clearer, a twisting amalgam of shadows, eyes like burning coals drilling into my soul. My heart raced as fear washed over me anew, but I kept my gaze steady, reminding myself of our shared strength. The old man began chanting words I didn't understand, a rhythm building in the air around us. The woman joined in, her voice harmonizing with his, and I felt my own voice spill out, shaky but unyielding. "Together," I echoed, and I felt a current surge through us, pushing back against the entity that had haunted me. The figure screeched, its sounds piercing through the night like a physical force, swirling around us. I could sense its anger and desperation clawing at the edges of my consciousness. "You cannot escape," it howled, and the wind became a tempest. Still, we held firm, clinging to one another as the shadows flickered and contorted. Suddenly, cracks formed beneath our feet, and light burst forth, illuminating the clearing in blinding brilliance. Instinctively, I shut my eyes against the flare, feeling vivid warmth engulf me. "Stay strong," The old man urged, but I was dimming, fading in and out of consciousness. Then silence. When I dared to open my eyes again, I found myself lying on cool grass. The night sky stretched above, star-studded and serene, the oppressive darkness now gone. The woman knelt next to me, concern etched into her expression. "Jake, are you all right?" I nodded and sat up. The old man stood beside us, looking both weary and triumphant. "We've pushed it back for now," he said, casting a wary glance toward the tree-line. "But it's not finished. It'll find another way." My heart dropped. "What do you mean?" The woman squeezed my hand, grounding me as the reality of our situation settled in. "You need to leave Maple Hollow, Jake. It'll keep drawing you back until you're part of it. You can't let it take hold of you." "But what about you?" I asked, desperate to understand. "We're bound here," the old man replied, sorrow lacing his voice. "But you have a choice. You can escape this." As they spoke, an unsettling sensation crept back in, the familiar pull of the town settling heavy in my chest. Will I ever be free? "Freedom isn't an easy path," the woman whispered, her gaze steady. "It will always echo in your heart, a reminder of the past." I swallowed, a mix of fear and determination coursing through me. "I'll run. I want to look back." With renewed purpose, I stood. The weight of the memories pressed against my mind, but I inhaled deeply, letting the cool night air fill my lungs. "Thank you," I said, though the words felt insufficient. They were still looking at me, expressions caught between hope and despair, as if they understood the struggle I'd need to face. As I turned to leave, I glanced over my shoulder one last time. The clearing shimmered with a strange light, a lingering shadow, hovering just at the edge. The past wouldn't let me go so easily, but I was ready to break free, and so I ran, heart pounding, merging into the darkness that wrapped the forest. I could still feel the pull of Maple Hollow, the whispers beckoning back to me, but this time I wouldn't yield. I drove into the night, questioning if I had escaped or if this was merely the beginning of a deeper journey. The answers remained elusive, and as I navigated the winding roads away from the town, a chilling uncertainty gripped me that I might have escaped Maple Hollow, yet the remnants of its shadows lingered in the corner of my mind, a haunting reminder that some truths are never fully uncovered, and some echoes of the past might just follow you home.